Well, fantastic. Fired up Friday evening to all you Broncos out in Broncos country, all you Broncos fans, man. I am ready to go. I hope you're ready to go too in the posse. This is the Denver Bronco Roundup Podcast. My name is Keith Brugman. I'm going to be one of your hosts, one of the four horsemen. And to the side of me, very special man. You know him, you love him. It's Mr. Trevor Salzman, the Rocket Man. How you doing, Trevor?
Doing great, Keith. Excited to be here. And again, no place I'd rather be right now than on here with you, talking Broncos and, engaging with our wonderful Denver Bronco Roundup royalty.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. Love the posse. Love him coming in here. Mr. Patrick Wiltsey was in here, well, before Trevor, and that's one of the reasons we're maybe running a little bit behind. But Patrick Wiltsey comes in there and says, Happy Friday. He also says, Aloha to start my Bronco brothers and sisters. So, hello to you, Mr. Patrick Wiltsey. And by the way, in my beat up old Broncos cup here, it's had better days. Lion Coffee, guys. Check out lioncoffee.com. If you are any connoisseur of coffee, you'll love them. You'll need them. You'll never live without them if you go ahead and order on lioncoffee.com. Also, Mr. Ernie Mays coming in here saying, hello, Keith and Trevor. Go Broncos country only. Absolutely, Ernie. That's the type of energy. That's what we're talking about this evening, man. We're talking about a fired up Friday, man. And I think there's reasons to be fired up. And I don't think Broncos country has gotten fired up enough in this offseason. And that's what we're going to hit tonight, man. That's what I want to get after, man. Got Michael Ronquillo coming in here, talk about Roundup royalty, a guy that's been hanging around, guy that's shown us a lot of love throughout years now. So thank you, Michael, coming in saying, good evening, Keith and Trevor. Big orange and blue hearts, giving us that mile-high salute. We appreciate it. Our good friend of the show, of the K&K Sports Show, you might know him from Settle the Scores if you're over here on Rocky Mountain Sports Network, getting you all caught up on Rockies news, notes, highlights, statistics, analysis, Mr. Scoops Woodhams. And he comes in here and says, what a day to be a Pels fan. Now time to hear some Broncos talk. Thank goodness it's Friday and go Broncos country. Appreciate it, buddy. Yeah, a lot of things going on in this offseason. NBA draft is going on in the background. I know that Trevor's been caught up in some heated chats in the background today and talking to all things NBA. But right now we're going to talk a little Broncos, like our good friend coming in with his Avalanche logo. Appreciate it. Mr. Jeremy Dressler, good friend of mine and good friend of the show, saying, sup, fellas, go Broncos. Man, fired up. And I'm hoping you all get fired up as well. Kind of like Sean Ward coming in on Facebook saying, hello, guys, showing some South Texas love. Bo for show, South Texas love, hashtag go Broncos. We appreciate you very much showing some love. Sean, I want to get caught up and see if, we love it when you guys can do, superstars over on YouTube. We love it when you can drop stars over on Facebook. I will say sometimes it's a little bit tough trying to be producer and host. So bear with me. If you're showing that kind of love, we love it. If you're just showing love by showing up and being in the posse, we love that too as well. But if you have any questions, please get them in here. But Trevor, like I said, we kind of got into it just a little bit before the show. I don't think that, certainly the national media, and I even think the Colorado media has not done enough justice, has not given it up for what we have going on as a franchise. Man, I think it's time that we all get fired up about some of the things we got going on, man. I listed off a lot of different things in our advertisement, our lead up to this show, right? But let's start off with the first one, man. I want to get your thoughts, man. Why shouldn't we be fired up about Bo Nix, or why should we be fired up about Bo Nix and what he's capable of with this team, with this roster? Let's talk about that, buddy. That first and foremost, right?
Yeah, again with Bo Nix, I think the reason to get fired up is because I think out of all these quarterbacks in the draft, that realistically that the Broncos could get, he fits Sean Payton's offense. And you have a guy with Sean Payton that, believes in this guy. Denver Bronco fans can get behind a rookie quarterback. Last time it was Paxton Lynch. Didn't work out too well. I don't me to keep bringing up his name, but he didn't work out very well. Now you have a guy like Bo Nix who no more talk about Russell Wilson. Bo Nix is a guy he's a guy just that seems to me the guy that will go out there and just play and not, you know, be too much out there, social media or anything like that. Sean Payton didn't like that with Russell Wilson. I think that's what's important with Bo Nix. He's a guy that's going to go out there, show that he's a leader. He's already kind of showing signs of that reportedly, being that mandatory mini camp, and voluntary mini camp. So just get fired about a guy that's a leader, I think a natural leader, and I think will continue to grow into that, but also a guy that is very excited, I think, to be a Denver Bronco and very excited for the opportunity to also be coached under one of the brighter offensive minds in the NFL with Sean Payton. So again, hopefully Bo Nix from week one, hopefully he gets that. Hopefully at some point in time we get some clarity in that so we can get behind this guy, watch him grow right in front of our eyes. I think that's the most exciting part is his upside. There is upside there. He don't got to be a Patrick Mahomes upside, but I think that it's going to be maybe a Jared Goff upside. That's fine. The Detroit Lions were literally in the NFC Championship game a year ago.
Probably should have won an NFC Championship game.
Yeah, exactly. So why couldn't Bo Nix be a Jared Goff type in the Denver build around him? If they can, one thing they need to do coming out of this season is you get a quarterback that you can build around, you can believe upon in. And we talked about it with this roster, and we'll continue to talk about it a little bit tonight. There's a lot of guys that are playing for their jobs this year, right? A lot of guys. We listed them all on Tuesday. So again, with Bo Nix, he's that guy that you want to be that sturdy quarterback, that leader, that point guard of this team. And then after that, it's a lot easier to start filling in the cracks and start building around what is your point guard, what is your star going forward, and when that hope would be with Bo Nix.
The straw that stirs the drink. That's what we need, right, man? It's got to be perfect, right? Or not perfect, what I mean? But it's this is what I want to get to. And Ernie Mace's, I'll give it up for Broncos country only. I'll hit a few more. Aussie Wombat coming in from the other side of the planet. Thanks, Aussie. Coming in and saying, good day from down under. How's everyone? Bo for life. Go Broncos. And coming over in on YouTube, we appreciate that as well. This is what I wanted to talk about. Sorry, lost my train of thought for just a second. I'm right back there. No, I'm excited for what Bo Nix isn't. All right, and I'll explain in a couple of different ways. Right, for one, I'm not going to hide it anymore. I wasn't the biggest Russell Wilson fan, and the way that Russell Wilson was able to run the Sean Payton offense is not what you wanted to see as far as executing at a high level Sean Payton's offense. You look at Bo Nix, and he's about as polar opposite of Russell Wilson as you can get. I mean, I guess he could be a little less mobile than he actually is, and that would make him a little more polar opposite. But as far as getting the ball out quickly, running an offense and a scheme the way it's supposed to and not improvise, I'll just say, is something that Bo Nix is very, very good at. He did it through multiple big name college systems. He's been very successful the longer he's been at it. And I think he's in that way, almost the prototypical candidate to go out there and be fired up about for not only Broncos country, but Sean Payton. And I think you're seeing that when Sean Payton's getting up there and he's in front of the media once again. He's got this renewed sense of life about him. And I don't think it's just because, hey, it's year 2 and things are easier and, we've got things in place and, got players that know that. I think, quite honestly, he feels good about where this team's at, where its leadership's at, and the leadership starts, at least for his side of the ball, right there at quarterback. The other thing that I think that Bo Nix isn't is he isn't somebody that this NFL has seen. And we saw what happened for a guy like, a guy down in Houston. We'll just put that for example. It's been the name that's been thrown about. And taking a league by storm your rookie year. We've seen this multiple times. Sometimes you have a small window, right? You can take the league by storm and be fantastic your rookie year and you kind of fall off. I mean, wasn't that long ago we were talking about, Mac Jones as a a possible Pro Bowler, and next thing you know, he's backing up, in Jacksonville. You know what I mean? So sometimes the windows can be short, but when they don't know who you are, when they don't know how to play you, when they don't have the tape on you, except for what you did in college, it's unknowns, and you can absolutely go out there now. Comparatively, if we went out there and would have gotten a Tannehill, because that was a name that was thrown about, everyone knew what they were getting in a Tannehill. They knew how to scheme. They know how to play against him. I think there's so many reasons to be fired up about Bo Nix. And I know that there's going to be a lot of waffling and a lot of camp battles. And man, Jarrett Stidham is, I think, really fighting his butt off. I'll give him that. But in the end, it's going to be Bo Nix. And Bo Nix is going to lead this team. And I'm excited. I'm fired up for what that possibility is, man.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. And that's why I say, I mean, if it's even close with Jarrett Stidham and Bo Nix should be the guy week 1. I think it's just time. It's Keith. It's time that we stop with this quarterback competition type thing. We dealt with it with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, and not getting on. Kind of probably knew that it was going to come to an end. I mean, we knew Russell Wilson was the guy for 2 years in a row, of course, because of his contract and what Denver gave up for him, and just it's Russell Wilson. I think he's an average, above average quarterback at times right now at this point in his career, but. Again, we've just dealt with since Super Bowl 50, we've just dealt with so many quarterback competitions. That's why I'm just like, and a part of me is just like, Sean Payton, can we just name Bo Nix the guy? Like, is there really that much that's like separating Jarrett Stidham and Bo Nix? I know Stidham has been, with this team longer, but again, if they're even close, you got to play the rookie. He's 24. He's 24 years old. You're not playing him. Why is this becoming a question? Now it's a headline that you're having to deal with all the time because you didn't name Bo Nix the guy. That's a distraction, in my opinion. Why don't you just name him the guy and go forward with him? If you draft him at 12, you're probably not sitting him a year. You're not even sitting half a year or even 5 games. You need to play him now. You need to believe in him for now. And in the future, the best way Bo Nix is going to be able to get to, grow is by playing, not sitting on the sidelines.
I'm going to give a little shout out to Paul coming in over on YouTube. He has a question. I'm going to have you answer this one. He says, Bo can run and turn potential sacks into games. Do you think that will put him past Stidham?
I think it's one of his qualities that I like that I don't think Stidham has. Again, short sample size with Jarrett Stidham, we don't know. I think we have a pretty good idea what we have with Jarrett Stidham, but we don't know. I think the full extent. Can Jarrett Stidham even be a backup quarterback in the NFL? We don't know that for sure. Let alone the starter. But I think with Bo Nix, yes, I think that's one of his qualities that I really like. I think that's what Sean Payton really liked about him was he can turn in potential sacks into gains and he can dump it off. And some people say, well, yeah, that's easy dump off. No, it's not. And he doesn't just do that all the time. He has an arm that he can beat, defenses with the deep ball. And he can go over the middle field and throw it at elite level, in my opinion. So it's just like, I think he does more than just dump offs, but the fact that Russell Wilson couldn't do that last year, that's one of the things he struggled with, Keith, was Russell Wilson's not used to dumping the football. What Russell Wilson was, and one of his strengths was throwing the deep ball. He has one of the better deep balls in the game. So he wasn't used to dumping the football off that often. Well, Sean Payton, that's how his offense rolls. It's not always a deep ball. Yeah, sure, if it's there, but he likes to dump it off, short gains, continue to move the ball. Bo Nix fits that to a degree, and it's at 100% better than Russell Wilson did, and he does more than just the dump offs. But the dump offs can't be overshadowed. They have to be elite, and we just didn't see that with Russell Wilson last year. And I think that's when you see in this offense be so, just not be able to move the football and just not very good last year is because they couldn't dump the football off because of Russell Wilson. He just didn't fit. That wasn't his style.
Yeah. I agree, but getting back to kind of the heart of the question, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree with, I think, Paul as well. I think that what Bo Nix possesses as far as a run game is concerned is absolutely a tool in his tool bag that Stidham just does not have. Yeah. Not to the same level that Bo Nix does. Not at all. So I think it's a tool in the tool bag, but kind of getting back to what you're alluding to, it's more important for him to be the passer.
Yeah.
Because right now we have Zach Wilson, who's allegedly running on 7-on-7 drills, which you should never, ever, ever, ever do. But he doesn't trust himself in the offense as of yet.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that from Bo Nix. We've seen him operate the offense, especially in those 7-on-7 drills from all accounts, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you need to see. Now, when things go haywire, and you know that they will, yeah, I trust Bo Nix more than I trust Jarrett Stidham to get you that first down. You know what I mean? To make that gain. Man, like I said, one of the biggest things I'm going to be looking at for this offense is third down conversion.
Yeah.
And that speaks to that short dump off that you're speaking as well. But great question. But this is another great question, not only because it's Phil, not only because he dropped 100 stars, but it also almost goes back to what we were originally intending to talk about on Tuesday as well, man. And he says, "Good evening, Keith and Trevor. I'm going to throw this one to you first. So do we sign Bowles to a new contract, a guy that's in his last year of his deal? Or do we draft a tackle next year? I would imagine as his replacement. That would have to be top of the board type of pick for us, I would imagine, if we're going to go ahead and get that replacement. What are your thoughts on what we do at left tackle this year and beyond?"
Yeah, it's one of the bigger questions, and it's a concerning question also because you need a left tackle to protect your franchise quarterback. So for me, I think I would like to see them bring back Garrett Bowles because I think he's one of their better offensive linemen. But I think that the concern there is, when does the drop off start to happen? Typically, Denver just doesn't draft tackles that often, and that's been something that it's a concern, and that you don't have anybody really in the pipeline that's like, okay, we can talk about undrafted guys all day, but it's like, okay, well, let's just kind of get to the point. First round tackles, second round tackles. That's when teams value those, and those guys, the likelihood that those you get to the first round, second round, those guys are actually going to hit. So I don't love that they don't have Garrett Bowles signed up. If I was the Broncos, I would try to get him back on a 1-year deal, and that would give me enough time to go draft the tackle, maybe in the third round that could take over, for the long haul. But I wouldn't rule out them going into free agency as well. If there's a couple tackles that are there in free agency, maybe they think is an upgrade over Garrett Bowles. Maybe that's something they want to do. Wouldn't rule out Garrett Bowles possibly trading at the trade deadline if the Broncos are out of it, as well. Maybe like Trent Williams gets hurt in San Francisco, say, for example. Well, immediately they would be interested in Garrett Bowles to try to protect, McCaffrey and what they have there, and Purdy. So for me, I would like to see Bowles back. I just can't see them signing him long term, and I'm really starting to question: do they really want this guy back? Because we've not seen an extension yet, and there's just another guy that adds to the list, that a guy that needs a contract extension, and I just don't know that the Broncos want to pay him, or maybe they just want an upgrade over him, and they're just not willing to right now.
Yeah, it's a great question, man. If I had my ways, I'll be honest, I think I would love to sign Garrett Bowles. I think you know what you have, and boy, have we played the game at right tackle trying to figure that one out for way too long. And I don't know if I want to start playing that game at left tackle. I mean, like you said, if we're talking about, top free agent left tackle, that's great. If we're thinking, hey, we're going to have a top 10 pick, top 15 pick, and we're going to just have to bite the bullet and we're going to go with that left tackle, the top left tackle that's out there, okay, I can maybe buy that, but that's still such a gamble. I think we're a lot closer, and we should be fired up about that, by the way, than people give us credit. And I don't even want to start talking about trade deadline yet, because I think there's more potential here than like I said, than anybody's given credit for. I think we should be fired up about this team and fired up about where we're going. If we're going to be fired up about where we're going, I'm not just talking about this year. I'm talking about maybe a 3-year run here that we're going on, 4-year run to really get excited about. And having your left tackle would be key. I am a little bit concerned that they haven't had any talks, but if I remember correctly, they've always played this way with Garrett Bowles. If I remember, it doesn't seem like he was like, hey, we got this contract done really early with Garrett Bowles because we wanted to get out in front of things. We did that with wide receivers and the like, but it seemed like Garrett Bowles went to the very wire on his last contract before we got something done on his current contract as well. So, great question. I think we re-sign him though.
Are you concerned about his age? Because he is 32 years old. So that's something we have to keep in mind that, I mean, if you're signing him for a 3-year deal, okay, well, you're signing up till, he's 35, 36 years old. So it's just like something you have to, I think.
I really understand where you're going from, but at the same time, when was the last time you talked about Garrett Bowles being out, injured, not being able to play? Garrett Bowles has been kind of an Iron Man over there at left tackle for the most part. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you know, he hasn't proven to be, you know, that guy that's in and out of the lineup, and you never know if he's going to be out 4 games, 8 games, you know what I mean, this year, whatever it happens to be. He's been pretty dang solid along that offensive line. So if there was more questions around that, then I would have more questions. But you know, that's until proven otherwise, you kind of got to bite the bullet on some of these guys.
I think that's what the biggest deal is, because I think, in my opinion, Garrett Bowles is top 15 left tackle, but is he a top 5 left tackle? Probably not. So I think that's probably part of the Broncos' concern is, and that's something they have to take account, is when does that drop off hit? Because you don't want to be stuck with paying a left tackle big money and then he suddenly drops off, right? That's the last thing that the Broncos want to deal with. So you have to figure out when does that happen. You know, when with medicine and health and everything like that improving each and every day and each and every year, these guys start playing longer. You start seeing these left tackles start playing a lot longer in the league. But yeah, it's concerning. I mean, again, you have a rookie quarterback that I think it's concerning that you may have to bring in a rookie left tackle as well, because we talk about the learning experience for a quarterback, but also the left tackle, you know, transition from the college game to the NFL. That is a transition as well. Left tackle is one of the more important positions on the offense side of the ball. So it's right there with quarterback, in my opinion, as far as learning. Garrett Bowles wasn't Pro Bowl caliber Garrett Bowles or, you know, a great top 15 left tackle when he first came out. He had his struggles too when he first came out, remember? And he was up there in age. So it's just like you have to kind of, you know, balance that out of, well, when a rookie left tackle, if that's the direction you go and you let Bowles go, there's going to be a transition where he's going to struggle a little while. And then do you really want to put Bo Nix behind that?
Michael says Bo Nix needs left tackle Garrett Bowles because he's a rookie QB, just to cue that right up. I also got to say hello to Mark Caldario coming in saying, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to you. Appreciate you coming in on Facebook, joining us, being part of the show, man, and getting fired up about the Broncos, hopefully. Kind of like Travis. He's fired up just like you were. He says, look at that emoji right there with the fiery Bo Nix. Looking fantastic. Or maybe that's a Tebow, because I do see him kneeling. So either way, love that number 10 emoji there that you got there, buddy. He says, my question is, why not just name him the starter? Because the Bears, like the Bears did with Caleb, if you're that guy, you're that guy. I love it, Travis. I'm falling in love with what Trevor's talking about, what Travis is talking about, and that's being about fired up about Bo Nix and naming him the starter sooner than later. Like maybe tomorrow, Sean Payton, if you're listening. That would be great. I'd appreciate that. Not doing anything else. You can get it in between your rounds of golf. It's all good, you know. So I gotta get to a lot of different people in here. I wanted to get your thoughts, quick thoughts, 30 seconds or less, okay, for me. He says, draft the left tackle, from Paul says over on YouTube, and franchise Garrett Bowles for 1 year. What do you think about that one?
Well, how are you drafting a left tackle? Because let's keep this in mind as well. This roster does have other needs. Like, what if you don't have a Batman edge rusher and there's a Batman edge rusher possibility in the draft? Are you going to pass that up just to draft the left tackle in the first round, third round, maybe?
Hey,
and you franchise him? Sure.
You franchised him. Now you could draft multiple years. You could go from never drafting a left tackle to always drafting a left tackle, buddy.
I mean, again, there's other needs though too that this roster they have to fill with this roster too, so they have to get it right. Maybe a second round left tackle too. Maybe that's something they have to consider. Again, it's way far out, so we have no idea what they're going to do yet. Also, keep in mind what the price is to franchise Garrett Bowles as well.
Yeah. All right, man. I know I cut you short, and then I cut in on your answer. I'm like, hey, 30 seconds or less. I'm going to cut in on you too. Sorry, bud. I think it is an option, I guess, to franchise Bowles. Have him here for another year. It gives you options, whether you get him in the first round, second round, maybe even third round, whether it gives you the option of, hey, we'll stick with Bulls for one more year, and then we'll see if that franchise guy opens up on the free agent market that we like a little bit better. I think it gives you options, and I think that might be a good option, Paul. And I like your thought and process, and I appreciate you bringing it to the chat and bringing it to the posse, man. Talking about the posse, man. Talking about having a fantastic evening. It's always fantastic when Kenny Kirkpatrick chimes in. Sometimes he's on the screen, but that's not tonight. Not tonight, man. He's just coming in via Facebook saying, good evening, fellas. A quick hello tonight to the best in the business. Vacation starts tomorrow. Quick question. Are there any clear front runner? Is there a clear front runner for center? If not, is that a concern with a rookie QB? First off, good evening to you, Kenny. Second off, thank you for the quick hello. Thirdly, best in the business, man. I thank you so much. And last, enjoy your vacation before we get to this answer your question here. Is there a front runner, Trevor? And if not, is that a concern for rookie QB Bo Nix? What are your thoughts, man? Is there a front runner?
Yeah, Kenny, again, thanks for chiming in. Again, man, hope you have a great vacation, and just thank you for everything you do for us and continue to support us. It's amazing. Yeah, it is a concern because you don't know what you have. I mean, at center, the Broncos may have a pretty good idea of what they have. Again, they don't like paying centers over their franchise history. It is definitely a concern, but it's also a concern for the running game too. Let's not forget about the running game. Denver was not very good at running the football last year. You need to have an efficient running game for Bo Nix. You didn't do Russell Wilson any favors last year, not having a very good running game. So they've got to figure out a guy that can start there and hopefully have a guy in the pipeline. Seems like, Keith, also that this team suddenly they seem to have and do a pretty good job, again with the Elway era and with the George Payton era of having that center kind of in that pipeline. So if that that guy gets paid, well, then you have a guy that takes over. Look at McGovern, look at Paradis. They had guys take over in-house to take over at center and in the pipeline to step up. So it's just something where we've kind of seen this trend with the Broncos over the past couple of years. Not a couple of years, but there's various years. So they got to figure it out, though. I mean, that's just something that offensive line should be this team's strength. But it doesn't just affect Bo Nix. It doesn't indeed affect the running game as well.
Yeah. The question came up a little bit earlier, or the thought came around. We just got fired up about it just moments ago about Bo Nix being named the starter, right?
Yeah.
I think similarly, we should get fired up about a center being named the starter, because there's a lot of things that need to get in place and be perfected by the time the first game of the season rolls around. I go back and I said my biggest concern about Bo Nix is his lack of time under center. Unless he was at a goal line situation, Bo Nix basically did not operate under center, whether at Auburn, whether at Oregon. Now you're coming in, you're going to have potentially a center that you've never worked with before, and he's got to learn his job, calling out protections, the whole 9 yards. You guys got to get this center quarterback exchange down. I mean, the sooner the better. I don't think there is a clear front runner. It's between, really, from what I've heard, what we have, Forsythe and Wattenberg being the two guys. Mm-hmm. So you have one guy that's kind of not being talked about in PJ Mustipher. So I guess we got it down to a two-guy battle. It needs to be one person sooner than later to be paired with Bo Nix sooner than later, so that we're operating at excellence come game one. That's my opinion.
When do you think, question for you, when do you think that they should name starting center? Because we talked about the quarterback position and the timeline of that. We can, that as well. Would you prefer before the first preseason game so they get those snaps together and Bo Nix is the starter as well? I mean, I guess my point is here is a center and a quarterback. If you're going to name the starting quarterback, why don't you just name the starting center as well, so they can get that down at the same time? But I guess my question would be to you, if we're going to combine that, when would you prefer that be named?
If Sean Payton is listening still, He can also name that center tomorrow. No, in all honesty, let's face it. Hopefully, that first week of training camp gets everything settled out, and we hear after week 1 of training camp, we're going as Bo Nix is our number one, and then they're not going to go out and say, and Alex Forsyth is going to be our number one center necessarily, but you'll see it. You know what I mean? It'll happen. You know, he'll maybe get questioned about it, but you know, hopefully it's all coincides. Hopefully after 1 week of training camp practice, we just can make that switch so that we can continue on, man. So that we can continue on. Yeah. Got to get to a few different things, man. Thanks everybody for joining in, man. I know I'm going to get way behind on comments because you guys are blowing it up. We appreciate the conversation. We appreciate the love. We appreciate all the questions and ideas that are coming through here. And we got to get to one right off the bat because it's an important one. We got to get to Pearl, who says, got home. Hi, guys. Well, you got home just in time, Pearl. Just in time to hear about Morgan Trinkets. Morgan Trinkets is your place for Southwest jewelry, Southwest pottery, and estate gold at wholesale prices, guys. 33 years experience in the business, a nationwide company, at least at one point. But now they're just concentrating in the places that you love, like Northern Colorado, maybe Southern Wyoming. How do you find Morgan Trinkets? You go over to Facebook and you type in Morgan Trinkets, and right there you'll find Morgan Trinkets, Facebook page, some of their wonderful, wonderful, wonderful inventory that they have available for you. And you also find a nice little message button that you can say, hey, do you have anything like this? Because they have a huge inventory. Also, guys, if you want to purchase on there, any item that you purchase is shipped for free as long as it's over $50, and they transact through PayPal. I also want you to go over to their Facebook page because they post all the amazing places that they do shows at. And right now, summertime, they are chock full of shows all over the areas you guys love to roam around and explore there in Northern Colorado and Southern Wyoming. So check out that. If you happen to catch them at their shows, now you're talking about all your major credit cards being accepted as well. So check out Morgan Trinkets today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop in the link as we speak to Morgan Trinkets. Check them out today, guys. Morgan Trinkets, your headquarters for Southwest jewelry, Southwest pottery, estate gold at wholesale prices. And by the way, silver, all sterling silver starting at $10, going all the way up over $2,000. They have that as well. Morgan Trinkets, fantastic sponsor. And by the way, Pearl runs Morgan Trinkets. That is who Morgan Trinkets is all about. She loves you as well. You guys have been showing fantastic support. We appreciate it. Got to get in here. Got to get into some more of these comments, man. I'm going to get in here with Roger. Roger came in here and said, good evening, guys. I hope all is well. Garrett Bowles needs to stay healthy. Bo Nix, just say it already. Make the call ASAP. And he's saying making that call as being the number one guy. We appreciate you joining in, Roger, and 100%, man. Hey, we're right on board with you. We're right on board. I'm just going to scroll through these comments, make sure that I'm not going to miss anything else. Oh, yeah. Ernie Mays. Talking about this guy right here. I'm going to move my mic stand just a little bit. Oh, I did that terribly. Mr. Elway, Mr. John Elway, the guy over the shoulder of Mr. Trevor Salzman there as well. It's his birthday today, guys. Talk about being fired up. Man, I was going to bring it up. You were talking about Super Bowl 50. You were talking about maybe coming into the league and not being really good about dumping off the ball. That was just John Elway. But happy 64th birthday to him, man. A guy that brought us 2 Super Bowls back-to-back, man. Went out in style, ran this Broncos team, brought in some of the biggest names, put together some of the best championship teams with Mr. Peyton Manning as well, and now has finally rode off into the sunset, enjoying his retired life at the age of 64. Happy birthday to the GOAT, Mr. John Elway, right, buddy?
Yeah, absolutely. Me and John Elway were celebrating right before the show, over my shoulder. Elway's always there with us. He's on the show with us. Much younger John Elway, playing days John Elway. Again, happy birthday to John Elway. It's awesome, and everything he's done for the Denver Bronco organization and continues to stay active. as well. Not as active as far as a GM, but just being there, watching the games, and Peyton Manning as well. It's awesome, and happy birthday, John Elway. Ernie, thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I meant to actually bring that up at the very beginning. Saw it as soon as I woke up. I like, the social media feed. All of a sudden it's like, hey, it's John's birthday today, man. And I was like, oh yeah, I got to remember that for the show. Got to remember that for the show. And then of course we're like a half hour in. I haven't said a word, but I appreciate it pointing it out, Ernie. Phil McLaughlin coming in here once again, kind of running the show now with dropping stars and asking questions, and we appreciate the stars, and we'll absolutely get to your questions because of it. Phil has a fantastic one. He says, guys, if Patrick, Sutton, Dulcich, and Moss are all healthy, who gets the most catches? Who gets the most yards? What are your thoughts there? And go ahead, man.
Does it mean Mims?
Mims, as I'm sure I was
Yeah,
going to say.
yeah,
I
I'm
was
gonna
like
say,
Moss. I was like,
yeah.
wait a second. I'm like going through my head. I'm like, am I forgetting about somebody?
I'm like, is we could put Riley Moss wide receiver now? I mean, maybe. I mean, no.
I expect him to come in with a few interceptions, but no.
Yeah.
We'll substitute Mims in there
Yeah.
on Phil's question. Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, Greg Dulcich, Marvin Mims. They all stay healthy. They're all out there playing well. Who comes in with the most catches, buddy? Who comes in with the most yards? I'm sorry.
For me,
most catches. Who gets the most yards? Two questions.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, for me, I mean, there's two guys that just stick out to me. It'd be Cortland Sutton or Marvin Mims. I'm gonna go with the proven guy. I'm gonna go Cortland Sutton just because, again, he's the number one wide receiver on the team as of right now. Marvin Mims can certainly transition to that. I'm not saying he can't. I just have to see it first. I'm one that's got to see it before I believe it. So Cortland Sutton for me would be a guy that I think he's going to get the most catches and the most yards, and I think that he's going to hopefully fit in with Bo Nix. And I think he's really bought into Bo Nix. Hopefully his contract situation gets figured out and he gets happy and really starts buying into this. It seems like he is. It's just his agent is kind of, telling him, hey, well, we need to get you paid and all this and this and that. But I think Cortland Sutton, just his impact, I think, on Bo Nix, I think is going to be hopefully seen, and hopefully we can get those two guys can get on track. And they're supposed to actually be meeting here not too long here pretty soon with all the wide receivers and Bo Nix. So really good to hear that. Give me Cortland Sutton on this
one. Jody's coming in, Sutton to every question. But then he also comes in, he says Josh Reynolds might lead in catches. So he's given that option, that over the middle guy, right? That over the middle guy as far as the wide receiver core is concerned. And kind of speaking of which, Ernie Mays, that over the middle guy, he's going a little bit different route. Even if everyone's healthy, he's thinking that Kroll might have that nod over Dulcich. And if that's the case, he's going with Lucas Kroll having the most amount of catches on this team. It's going to be, for me, it's going to be really, really hard not to pick Cortland Sutton as your yardage leader, right? I mean, until I see something different, it just seems like that's the only way that you can really reliably place your confidence, I guess is the way to put it. I would like to say, kind of similar to what we're talking about here with Ernie Mays, is that it would be nice if we could rely on a Lucas Kroll to take over as far as the amount of catches, right? But I don't know if that's in the cards, to be completely honest. It's not in this offense, not yet, right? Sean Payton has a prolific offense, but I will say this: yards, no; catches, yes. I think there's absolutely a chance for Greg Dulcich or a Lucas Kroll, if that happens to be the case. We're talking about health, to take over as far as the amount of catches. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity, as Jody's kind of talking about here with Josh Reynolds, for that over the middle, pass catcher. And I think that's just the situation that we have in front of us with a new quarterback in Bo Nix. I'm not going to give it to yards though, because the yards, hopefully we're extending it down the field and we're talking about a wide receiver getting it, not the tight end. Got a few questions. Phil McLaughlin says, I don't think so. Sutton for yards, but we have to use that short game. And that's kind of where I'm getting as well. By the way, guys, I know I've been promising it. I'm going to go ahead and I'll drop a link. If you haven't been over to Rocky Mountain Sports Network, recent article by me, all about Lucas Kroll. And I think the opportunity that he has heading into training camp, kind of getting back to what Ernie Mays was talking about, maybe even beating out Greg Dulcich if Greg Dulcich is healthy and taking over as that tight end one. I think that's going to be a name to watch at camp. And by the way, that reminds me, guys, gals, everyone out there, I just want to say this. I went out there and I've secured every date for training camp. Now, that being said, I'm not going to be able to make every date, but I want to know, are you going to make a date? Are you going to be at training camp? And if that's the case, I have some open flexibility. You never know. I might try to work it out so, a few of us could maybe meet up and hang out at that training camp. Love to be able to hang out with some of you guys, gals out there in the posse. If that's the case, tell me what dates you got going on. If you don't want to drop it in the comments, that's cool too. You can hit me up on Facebook. You can hit me up on Twitter. We can chat about it. I would love to see some of you guys out there. If not, like I said, the plan is there. We went from like 85% to like 95% probability now that I'm going to be, at that Denver Broncos facility. I'm going to be bringing all of you guys, footage, reports, analysis of what I see, which is going to be exciting. I love this time of year, man. Got questions, got thoughts coming in, man. I'm going to get over to Michael Ronquillo. He doesn't necessarily jump in with a whole lot of questions as of lately. A lot of good love, a lot of good support, but I got to get to Michael's questions. He says, which position is more concerning for the Broncos, the tight end room or that linebacker room? I'm going to start off with you, Trevor. I've been talking for a minute. Take it away, buddy.
Yeah. Again, I mean, for me, I'm going to say inside linebacker. I don't know. I think both are very concerning. I mean, honestly, all these, positions of need for this team, the weaknesses per se, as we kind of dissect this team and our opinions. For me, I think it's inside linebacker. I think that this defensive, this defense side of the ball, you really need that inside linebacker. You need a good core in there. It's just something they've kind of lacked, and I think that they've really they're starting to hitch the wagon on. Cody Barton stepping up in a big way. Jonas Griffith being healthy after not being healthy for 2 years. So for me, as much as we keep clamoring for a pass catching tight end, an elite one, anyways, that inside linebacker room is going to be very crucial, very, very critical, because you have to be able to defend Travis Kelce. I mean, he's one guy that's in the division, tight end. Brock Bowers. Oh, by the way, he got drafted by the Raiders, so you have to defend him. There's tight ends in division that you're going to have to defend, and what are you going to do that with Cody Barton? Who's usually mainly a guy that's in years past has been more of a run guy. He stops the run, not necessarily great in pass coverage. So, and so it's just very concerning because you need to stop those guys. Those guys are definitely difference makers. So for me, I would say inside linebacker is more concerning, but both are actually very concerning.
Yeah, Michael, I looked off to the side, and not only did you pose a question, but you dropped stars with your question, buddy. So I appreciate it so much. The Ronk, he's getting his etching all lined out for being out there and Ronk royalty, Roundup royalty. He's right up there. We appreciate you, Michael, coming in and supporting the show the way that you do every single week, dropping stars tonight as well. So he said, so for the position that's most concerning, Broncos, the tight end room or the linebacker room, I'm going to go process of elimination. And what I mean by that is if Bo Nix doesn't have a tight end to go to, hopefully he has at least 3 wide receivers and a running back option that he can still throw to.
Yeah.
If we don't have a solution in that linebacker room, we're going to be up the creek in a lot of ways. And you were just pointing it out, Trevor. It doesn't matter if you're trying to stuff the run. It doesn't matter if you're trying to cover that tight end. It doesn't matter if you're trying to play zone. Doesn't matter if you're trying to play man. Doesn't matter if you're just trying to get guys lined up, because those guys are kind of the quarterbacks of the defense in a lot of ways, making sure that that front line is all set, all ready to go. Tap here, tap there. This is the way you're going. If these guys aren't in sync ready to go in that linebacker, I think we got some big trouble. I think we got some big trouble that we can't cover up. There's no lipstick on this pig that we can just give. And I think you have that opportunity, at least on the offensive side of the ball, to say, well, once again, we don't have a tight end room, guys. Wide receivers, running backs, you're going to have to step up. You know what I mean? It's just process of elimination for me. Get to the comment room. I comments in the room, coming in from the room, I should say. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Michael's going to be able to meet me up at training camp. I apologize that we're not going to be able to see each other, Michael. Maybe someday, maybe sometime. I'd love to. For Jody, it's the linebacker room, Michael. He says the linebacker room is the biggest concern for me, and kind of a little bit both ends for Pearl here. Tight end, and she's a little bit concerned about the pass rush as well. I don't know if that's an inside or an outside pass rush. I know that, we talked about it before. I feel like we have a lot of B players, not maybe an A player. You've been talking about Batmans and Robins as far as those pass rushers are concerned. Tight end or pass rusher, which one would you be more concerned about out of those two groups?
Tight end. I think your defensive line is going to help your your edge rushers, your edge rushing room out quite a bit. Get John Franklin Myers, and then being able. I like Denver's chances to be able to stop the run with Malcolm Roach, and DJ Jones hopefully playing up the part, and then obviously you have Zach Allen. So for me, I think just upgrading that defensive line. I think we're going to see that this year. Going to really help that edge rushing room. Kind of raise their ceiling a little bit. So for me, I think it's a tight end room with Dulcich. Again, he can't stay healthy, and I know that there's a lot of hype around Lucas Kroll, but we have no idea what Lucas Kroll's capable of, at least as of right now, anyways.
Yeah. Tight end for me. Yeah. I feel like we have so many options in the pass rush. Yeah. I really do. I mean, a lot of B options, but a lot of good B options. Mm-hmm. A lot of Robins, but a lot of good Robins. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. In the tight end room, it seems like we've been searching and Jake Butt and you name it. It just seems like we just can't get this lined out, leveled out. Boy, Phil McLaughlin coming in, and man, this is a tough one for me. He says, Lance asked a great question tonight, so let me pass it on. What former Bronco that's not in the Hall of Fame or the Ring of Fame could improve this team radically? Is Demaryius Thomas not in the Ring of Fame or the Hall of Fame? Because that was Michael's. And if that's the case, man, that would be a great answer as well. But what's your answer for Phil? A guy that's not in the Hall of Fame or the Ring of Fame comes in here, plays for this team this year, changes his team, improves them dramatically.
So can it be former Bronco that's still playing?
Oh, I imagine so. I guess that would be a.
I was just going to say, to me, it's Von Miller. I mean, to me, I think it's Von Miller in its prime. That he was just amazing, just what he did out there. Just we haven't seen an edge rusher like that. I know everybody talks about Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb wasn't explosive as Von Miller was. I know he had DeMarcus Ware, but Von Miller in his prime, I mean, you just can't beat that. And I think he would immediately improve this defense, and he would be that Batman edge rusher, in my opinion. But so many great players out there, I think, to choose from that are not in the Hall of Fame yet and not in the Ring of Fame yet. But for me, I think it would be prime Von Miller.
Yeah, again, not never a bad choice when you talk about, a future guy that's going to be wearing one of those jackets and certainly up in that ring, right? Jody's 100% on board with you, as Pearl is coming in with a 100%. Ernie Mays comes in with a couple of good options as well for you, Phil. He says for him, Steve Atwater, Al Wilson.
Well, isn't Steve Atwater in the Hall of Fame?
Steve Atwater is in the Hall of Fame. But that would save us, solve some issues, as far as the safety is concerned. Yeah. Al Wilson has not made it into the Hall of Fame. don't think he's in the Ring of Fame either.
I don't think so.
I got to get my Ring of Fame list up at some point and have that off to the side if we're gonna have questions like this. Phil, thanks, putting us on the spot.
But a great creative question to ask
Yes,
around this time of the off season, because again, it's a lull time right now between now and training camp. So great question to ask right now, and so credit to Lance Anderson, a great friend of this podcast and guy that watches the show, and we watch their show. And Phil, thank you for dropping that question, passing it along to us, because that's awesome. I like that question a lot.
Yeah. Paul's just saying safeties and centers are concerning, but Patrick Wilsey coming in with a great one. How about Zimmerman on that offensive line? Love Zim.
Ooh, I got another one for you.
But I'm going to give you mine. I haven't given you mine yet.
Go ahead.
My solution for this team right now, for a lot of different reasons, I'd bring Bill Romanowski onto this team. Bill Romanowski would solve that off-ball linebacker issue in a lot of different ways. He would also bring some dog to this team that I think is severely lacking. And, it's okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Zim's in the Hall of Fame. He just got, I think last year, if I remember right, Zim got in the Hall of Fame. So, but yeah, I would bring in a Bill Romanowski. I think that could solve a lot of issues for you in that inside linebacker. You had another one, Trevor, for Phil. What's your second answer for Phil?
Yeah, I was going to say wide receivers. This is the guy that I think doesn't get enough respect, and I think this is the guy that got pushed out by a certain head coach that no one likes. I'm going to go with Brandon Marshall. This at his prime and when he was here in Denver, I mean, he just made quarterbacks better. Remember Kyle Orton? Yeah, I mean, Brandon Marshall's still a 1,000-yard wide receiver with Kyle Orton. Kyle Orton wasn't exactly anything to write home about as far as a quarterback. No offense to Kyle Orton, he was a solid quarterback, an average quarterback, but he wasn't above average or elite. And Brandon Marshall, I mean, he certainly made him look elite at times. And Brandon Marshall in his prime and when he was here in Denver really showed out. I think he's a guy that just wasn't right fit. I think would have had a really nice career here in Denver if Josh McDaniels unfortunately wanted to push him out the door. But Brandon Marshall, to me, I mean, he just was a fantastic wide receiver. One of those guys that's just long, lengthy, big wide receiver that can go up and get it. I know we have a guy like Cortland Sutton kind of like that, but he wasn't close to what a Brandon Marshall was. Brandon Marshall, give Bo Nix Brandon Marshall. That's a 1,000-yard wide receiver, and we're talking maybe about double-digit touchdowns for a guy like Brandon Marshall, and would really help out Bo Nix, I think, a ton.
That would be a nice little addition. I like this one because Michael came in early and he said wide receiver Demaryius Thomas, rest in peace, and gosh, Demaryius Thomas. Loved watching him. Yeah. But he also has one on defense. He says on defense, Elvis Dumervil.
It's a good one.
Oh, man. I'll tell you, I loved Elvis Dumervil, but you also, every time I hear that name, it's probably one of my most frustrating days of being a Denver Bronco fan is tied to that name as well, man. With the whole fax scandal and being too late on a contract that would have kept Dumervil and Von Miller across from each other, man. It was a match made in heaven that should have went on for years.
But
go ahead, buddy.
I was going to say, but would that have changed where Denver would have ended up doing? Because by the way, DeMarcus Ware. They signed DeMarcus Ware a couple years later on the other side of Von Miller. So what if DeMarcus Ware had the leadership from Dallas and the leadership in that edge rushing room, and he brought that to Denver with Von Miller, and that's what it really bolstered Von Miller.
Transformed him.
Transformed him into the elite edge rusher that he was. So was it kind of a blessing in disguise? Elvis Dumervil didn't end up being a Denver Bronco long term. Again, I loved Elvis Dumervil as well. I'm going to throw it with you, but you got DeMarcus Ware out of that. He is a Hall of Famer now. I mean, we can't really, it's like a blessing in disguise type of thing. You lost Dumervil, but you end up gaining a guy like DeMarcus Ware and really transformed Von Miller and helped raise his ceiling because it helped him, stay within himself and stay out of trouble off the field and really helped him be a leader and transform him to the player that he is today as well.
Yeah. I forget that was the timeline, right? Like I said, I was so upset at the time. I was so upset, but DeMarcus Ware came in, and keep in mind, I mean, Von Miller was having some issues. He wasn't the best Boy Scout, and when D. Ware came in, that all changed. That all changed, and Von Miller is straight up honest about that, and changed not only who he was off the field, but who he was on the field, and gave him his long career that he's now having. And more importantly, the Von Miller that got us a Super Bowl. So, Pearl comes in and says, "How about easy Ed McCaffrey?" I love that one. That's another great one. I got to get to this one. Phil McLaughlin says, "Loved Lyle Alzado," because that was brought up as well. He says he went bowling with him a couple of times, which, Phil, I would love to hear that story. And I know that we haven't talked about this enough, but every once in a while, Albert's really good about it. Hey, if anybody's interested in maybe joining the show, being a guest, if nothing else, for 5-10 minutes, hang out with us and, get a little screen time, we'd love to have it, man. A Lyle Alzado bowling story would be one that I would have right up there, man. That would be awesome. Carrying a 198 average, he's saying. So, guy knew how to bowl too. Not too shabby for a guy that necessarily wasn't here. Wasn't known for bowling, I don't think, in any capacity, at least not that I was ever remembering. Jody's pointing out D-Ware comes, but we don't draft Shane Ray as well. Excuse me. So I got the hiccups for some reason. Boy, man, here we are, man. Like 57 minutes in. We didn't get to near the agenda, but that's because, guess what? The posse's awesome, dude. And I know that you know that. I know that, but I hope that every single one of you know that. Coming in here, great interaction. Coming in here, great thoughts, great questions, great answers to the question. Lots of interaction in between everybody. I know there's people that I missed and comments that I missed, and that's only because you guys show so much love. I can't keep up with it and produce a whole show and have content that's good and relative and not just be like saying hello to everybody all along the way. But know that I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I don't say this enough. Please like, please share, please subscribe, man. We keep growing and growing and growing. We love everything you do. We love all the stars that you're dropping. Like I said, every time that you guys do that, all I can think of is how am I going to give back to this community, because you guys keep giving us love, and we need to find great ways to do that. I promise that will be coming down the pipe as well. But Trevor, we do need to wrap it up, man. We're like at 58 minutes now with me rambling. Let's show some love to Broncos country, to everybody out there who tunes into the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast, and get on out of here until Tuesday night. What do you got for us, bud?
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Keith, for another great show tonight, and for all of our posse just being here. You guys, seriously, the support honestly just means a ton to us. We continue to grow, like Keith keeps saying. He's going down to training camp. He's already given back with that. He's coming back. He's going to give us his feedback. We're going to have shows up on it. He's going to have video. I mean, again, it's just Keith's willing to go out an extra mile, and we all are, and you guys are as well. This community, Roundup Royalty, is just truly the best, and we continue to keep growing. You guys are awesome. I can't wait for the start of the season. 3 shows a week, post-game shows, pre-game shows, a regular Tuesday show. We're going to have it all here for you, so just continue to stay tuned to the Denver Bronco Roundup and Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Keith's got a great article. I highly suggest you guys go check out that Lucas Kroll article. Read it myself. It was great. Great piece, Keith, by you. And just thank you guys for everything. You guys it truly means a lot to all of us. And can't wait to talk to you guys here on Tuesday again. Have a great weekend. Be safe. And go Broncos.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself, buddy. I dropped one last link. I've been sharing links like all show long. I don't think I've shared this many links in an entire show in my entire life, buddy. That reminds me. Check out that Morgan Trinkets, our sponsor. All, again, Southwest Jewelry, Pottery, Estate Gold, wholesale prices, silver as well. You need to check them out. There is a link in there for that. Our fantastic website. I went ahead and I dropped that link for the Kroll article that I had, and I think the potential that he has. Check that out, please. Last one I dropped, guys. Love to get more and more follows, subscribers. I guess it's just likes and follows over on Facebook on our Rocky Mountain Sports Network. We're at 950 followers, guys. We want to hit that 1,000 mark. Would love some love tonight. If you could share that along to all your friends and family, we would love that as well. That's my only ask tonight of all of you. Other than continuing to come in with fantastic interaction like you always do. Guys, gals, appreciate you so much. I can't wait to get fired up about more of what we got going on with the Denver Broncos. We only touched on it, only hinted on it. There's lots of topics. Everyone's like, hey, it's even Trevor said it's the down cycle. I feel like I never get to anything I want to talk about, man. And it keeps building up and backing up, but we'll keep bringing it to you. You keep bringing it to us. We'll keep getting to your comments, all your questions. We're going to come back at you because guess what? Every Tuesday, every Friday, 7:15 p.m., Denver Bronco Roundup Podcast, either right on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network Facebook page, the Rocky Mountain Sports Network YouTube page, or the Denver Bronco Roundup Facebook page as well. You guys coming in, supporting us. Come back again on Tuesday. We love you so much. Great stars, Michael. Michael's dropping stars as well. Oh, my goodness. Michael's dropping big boy stars. Big boy stars. 500 big boy stars as we're getting on out of here, showing the love. Yeah. Great show tonight, Keith and Trevor. Great show because of you, Michael. Go ahead, Trevor.
No, I was going to say just thank you, Michael. I mean, again, just 500 Facebook stars, just in general. You guys just being here, honestly, I mean, stars are great and everything. Super chats are great. We love those, but we also just love you guys being here. So honestly, just you guys continue to share your support, and we continue to keep giving you the content, and it's only going to grow from here. Keith's going to training camp. We'll get video and everything. So and give us his intel on what he sees, and you guys are just continuing to be amazing. Again, I just love you guys a lot, and we all love you guys. And just continue to do this for you, and it keeps motivating us, keep us going, and you guys just are awesome. Not enough great things can be said about our fans, and we're so blessed. Just thank you guys, and thank you, Michael, and thank you, Phil. Thank you, everybody. Roundup Royalty is truly the best. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I think to kind of reiterate, man, we love you, Michael. We appreciate you being in here. We appreciate you supporting the show just by ducking your face in here, just by giving us a little thumbs up, just by interacting in the comments and being part of the posse. But thank you very, very much for the 500 stars on top of all that as well, man. We appreciate everybody that comes in, like I said, is part of this show, likes, comments, and subscribes. And of course, if you are able to drop on those stars, drop on those super chats, we love you guys. Check us again on Tuesday, 7:15 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to get us straight out of here because I think we've shown about as much love as I can give tonight. My voice is starting to give out. I don't know if you can tell, buddy, but it's starting to go. Need another swig of that Lion coffee. Love to be in Hawaii drinking it with Patrick. Maybe someday, buddy. We'll see if we can ever get that lined up. But until next Tuesday, we're going to get out of here saying, well, as we always do, keep your boots in the stirrups, keep your guns in your holsters, and of course, keep the Broncos in your hearts, guys. We're out of here. Good night.